Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of American Soccer Quick Kicks. I'm your host, David Wright. I'm a day later coming out with this video than I wanted to be, but I'm going to trust that if you're a fan of American soccer, that you watched the national team play in the Nations League semifinal against Mexico on Thursday night. We won. We won 3-0, and we won in dominating fashion. There was a time when Mexico beat us like routinely, and we were always overmatched. And right now, the United States is simply a better team, a better program, more talented, and it showed. Mexico never seriously looked like a threat at any point in the match, and we just dominated every facet. And there's just a lot to come away being very pleased with. It was a good night as far as the result goes, and as far as the dominance goes. Christian Pulisic had perhaps his best game for the United States. He was just on fire, was confident, was taking it to Mexico, ended up scoring twice. I thought perhaps senior Serginho Dest had his best match as for the national team until he earned that red card late in the game. I'll talk about that in just a minute. It was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot. The U.S.-Mexico rivalry just kicked up another notch with just the utter CONCACAF insanity that we saw in this match. I want to talk first, before I get into the insanity that just unraveled at the end of the match. I do want to acknowledge first, we did get news right at kickoff that the United States has hired their manager, and it is going to be Greg Berhalter. After all that, we're bringing back the same guy that we had for the last 4 years. I have a lot of thoughts about that, a lot of mixed emotion about it. I think I have a pretty even-headed take on it. I'm not one of those doing a Twitter meltdown over it, but I'm also like not super thrilled, but I see the positive and I see the negative. I'm also just mainly confused about the process and how we ended up with that decision. But I'm going to save that for the next video. I got a lot I want to say. So before I get into, again, just all the mess that happened at the end of this match, I do want to, set the table that number one, we won the semifinal. This sets up a final with Canada tomorrow. Okay, that is going to be on Sunday, June 18th. Right now, United States and Canada are the two best teams in CONCACAF. So this is the final that we want, and it should be a thrilling game. I'm looking inside. Just come on tomorrow night on Paramount Plus, Sunday night, June 18th, on Paramount Plus. So be on the lookout for that. And if you don't have Paramount Plus, you can sign up for a free 7-day trial, and you'll get to see this game anyway. I want to focus a little bit on that second goal by Christian Pulisic. If I can find a video clip of that highlight, I will post it to the American Soccer Quick Kicks Facebook page, and you'll be able to go there and look at this. Hopefully you saw it. This was an amazing goal. There's everything that I love about soccer. It was right here in this one play. It started deep. It started in possession with our goalkeeper. We played it out of the back deep, brought it through. And then look what happens. The goal came through a combination of McKennie, Weah, and Pulisic. And what I want you to do is, if I can find that clip, you can kind of pause it and run it back as many times as you need to. But look at the vision that McKennie has. McKennie's deep midfield. He's in the middle of the park, and he plays a long pass to Weah, but it's not just a blind, hopeful pass. It is with intent, and it's the perfect pass that breaks the line of the defense. It defeats the offside line, and it puts Weah, and Weah's first touch also serves him well and puts him in a great position running behind the defense. That pass from McKennie splits the Mexican defense and just opens up the field, and it's suddenly, just like that, from just a normal build up through midfield with that one pass, boom, an opportunity is laid on the table. I mean, he just created it out of nothing with one incredible pass. Now, at this moment, when that pass is made to Weah out on the right wing, look at where Pulisic is. I want you to notice in this replay how soon Pulisic begins his run toward the goal, and what's actually happening with the ball, and how he's able to read the game, and how much further ahead he's seeing the game, and he knows what he needs to do next. Look at what's happening, and how soon at that moment that Pulisic starts to run. It's very early on. He recognizes it. As soon as that pass is made, he starts running. And look how hard he has to run. and he's just for that split second timing to arrive at the box at the exact moment he needs to in order to be there to put the goal away. But let's look at Weah's pass also. The pass from Weah out on the right wing into the box for Pulisic to run onto. That pass is perfect. This is a beautiful, beautiful soccer play. When you can begin to appreciate the beauty of moments like this, that's when you know that you're a soccer fan, and you're going to probably be one for life, because this is just exquisite. Weah makes the pass, and he plays it into the box, but he plays it in that perfect spot where it's too far out for the defenders to get to it, but it's not so close to the goalkeeper that he can come out and squash it. Because of the runners coming into the box, that goalkeeper has to stay back and play on his line. And the ball actually curves, like it gets past the defense and then curls back into the path of Pulisic. So it's absolutely the perfect pass that freezes the goalkeeper, but still is out of reach of the defense, and it just lands right at the feet of Pulisic, who has been running from early on since the McKennie pass. He's been running as hard as he can just to get there at the exact right moment. So that is that's a fun goal to just kind of break down and study and look at what everybody in that play is doing for that goal to happen. And that also includes players that are not obviously involved, like Florin Balogun. He got the start. They put him in the starting lineup, and he didn't score. He didn't have a flashy game, but he did have a good game. And one of the things, he's involved in this goal too. Look at his positioning and look at how his presence commits defenders to him to some degree. Like the spaces that the defenders are holding are influenced to some degree by the presence of the other American players and where they are. And if Balogun's not in that position, he's not making that run, that defender might be in a better spot to intercept the Weah pass. So this, again, I told you that soccer is a game of space, and it's the positioning of the players and the runs that you make and the spaces you occupy that, everybody kind of has a little gravitational force to them that draws defenders toward them. And if you're able to pull the defense apart and create just a little bit of space for someone like Pulisic to run into the ball, then you're doing your job, and that's all a part of the game. And credit to Pulisic. There's still work to be done. And not everybody's going to be able to finish in that moment, and he does. Wow. McKennie, Weah, Pulisic. I can watch that replay on loop for hours. It's a beautiful thing to see. Now, it did get ugly at the end of the match. It usually does in CONCACAF. It seems like, maybe it's my imagination, but it seems like when we're winning in CONCACAF, the other team, especially if that team is Mexico, it's like they're so offended that we're winning that they have to act out. And then we start seeing the dirty play, right? We start seeing some of the dark arts, and they baited our players. We get a little extra knocks and stuff, and it was making us mad. And finally, let me rewind. The first red card, the first altercation that resulted in double red cards, one for each team, was the McKennie one. I actually love this one. This was McKennie coming to the defense of his teammate, and McKennie's not going to back down. He's going to be that guy. He is a bro's bro. He's going to be there for his boys, and you don't mess with anybody that's sharing the same shirt with Weston McKennie, because he will be in your face and he will not back down. I actually love that from him. And he comes in and does that, and he mixes up, and he doesn't back down. He's actually got like 8 or 9 Mexican players pressing him all by himself, and he doesn't care. Yeah, I mean, he got the red card, and maybe he deserved it. It's his action's a little justifiable as far as I'm concerned, but he was getting hands up high in the opponent. And of course, the iconic moment, this is going to go down as just one of those famous clips that's always played. He comes away from that with his shirt ripped open like he's Hulk Hogan or something, and you've got a largely Mexican partisan crowd booing him and throwing beers down the field at him, and he just looks at him, and he's kissing the U.S. badge on his jersey with it ripped off halfway off of him, just like, yeah, what you gonna do? Look at the scoreboard. I actually love that a lot. We're gonna miss him in the next game, but I actually love that a lot. I don't blame McKennie at all, and he's exactly the kind of teammate that I want. Dest, on the other hand, that one's a little more frustrating because he had a great game. I thought he really had a strong performance, and then he finally just lost his temper, and there was some shoving, and there was some hard, violent shoving, and there was up high in the throats and stuff like that. And Des was definitely guilty of that. And both teams drew red cards in that incident. So we ended the match playing 9-on-9, and but it was deserved. And that's a case of where I wish Des had just been able to keep control of his temper a little bit, because that's all Mexico's trying to do at that point. They know they've lost the game. Now they're just trying to make us lose our cool. They're basically just trying to take our players off the field. They want to draw that red card in order to deny their eligibility for the final, just because they're being jerks and they're being bad sports. And Des fell into that trap. He lost his temper and he acted out. He got red carded, as he should have. And it really, the Dest red card is about the only blemish on what otherwise would have been a perfect night and a fun, insane CONCACAF night. If you're looking for insanity, CONCACAF soccer is what you need to tune into and pay attention. So what does that do? That leaves us in a final against Canada, and without two of our regular starters. I love this starting lineup. Without Adams, we played Musa. I thought we were going to see Musa and McKinney both play that defensive midfield position that's usually occupied by just Tyler Adams. I thought we were going to drop another guy back, have two there and then they put Reyna in the middle in a more attacking role in center midfield. I love that idea. That gets more of our best players on the field at once. I love giving Balogun the start, but we mostly didn't do that. Mostly Musa played the single pivot, that Adams position. Mostly he played that by himself. He got some help occasionally, but really we saw McKinney and Reyna both forward a little bit. And I thought the night went really well. Now, Ricardo Pepi subbed on for Balogun in the second half, and Pepi ended up scoring. So he has the flashier game, and it's easy to think he might have had the better game. And certainly you want goals from the number 9 position. That's what we've been looking for years. It doesn't mean Balogun had a bad game, and I would hope that just for his confidence sake that we'll give him the start again. But I feel great for Pepi. I love Ricardo Pepi. He's very, very likable. He has a heartwarming story, and really he was just hard done by being left off the World Cup squad last November, December, and he's found his form again at his club, and he comes on and scores. And he's put all that adversity behind him, and he's risen to the challenge. He's improved his game, and I just wish him the best. I want Balogun to come in and be the ringer and be the giant slayer and be the superstar number 9 that we need. I want to see that too. But until that happens, I'm going to root for Ricardo Pepi, and I feel good for him, and wish him the absolute best. But that leaves us playing Canada without McKinney and without Dest. I would love to have seen the same lineup run back out for the final, but obviously these guys are not going to be available. I think the Dest absence is going to hurt us more than the McKinney absence, because Dest plays right side. And on the left side for Canada, you have Alphonso Davies, who's perhaps the best player in all of the CONCACAF region. He plays as a defender, but I've seen him play in person. I saw the U.S.-Canada match in Nashville for World Cup qualifying, and it's amazing how he can dominate a match from that left fullback position. He absolutely gets involved in the attack. He's their most dangerous player, and he's very, very, very fast. Our best hope of matching up against Alphonso Davies was going to be Serginho Dest, and he was going to have to play defense. Like, Dest loves to ignore his defensive responsibilities as much as he can, because he's great on the ball and he wants to be involved. But he was our best matchup against Alphonso Davies, and now he's off the table. And we're going to bring in, most likely, Joe Scally to play at right fullback. I haven't seen him play a lot for us, but I do know that he's a huge drop-off from Dest. So what happens on that side of the field, right? When Canada's attacking, they're going up their left, our defensive right. I expect most of Canada's attack to come from that side of the field. Watch that matchup. Watch how we as a team try to defend Davies and how effective we are at it, and what kind of job Joe Scally does. That's going to be one key of the game to watch out for. McKinney's absence, it hurts us. Obviously, we want him on the field, but we have We have I expect Lucas De La Torre to take his spot. And I like him well enough as a player, but he doesn't quite have the dynamism, what's the word? Technical skill on the ball that Weston McKennie has. So it's going to hurt us. But, with Musa on the field and with Reyna on the field, I feel like we have enough to overcome that. I'm really worried how we're going to defend Alphonso Davies. So that's something to watch out for. Canada's a great team. They actually showed very, very poorly at the World Cup. I think they finished dead last in the entire field for the tournament. They are not that bad. They're really good. And they have a lot of players on the team that I know and I'm familiar with, but mostly because they're either in MLS or they've come through MLS. And you might think an international team full of MLS players, how good can they really be? Well, you'd like to think that because of the club pedigree of our guys playing in the top leagues in Europe and stuff like that we're going to be a cut above, and maybe we are. The truth is, when our players are overseas, they're not necessarily getting a lot of playing minutes. And regardless of that, regardless of the MLS pedigree of the Canadian team, they play together well as a team. Like their team unity and cohesiveness is very, very, very strong. And that can overcome a talent deficit if you're a better team. And I think Canada may be. And partly because we've been floating a little bit rudderless this year without a permanent manager in place. And the guy they announced is one that I'm just afraid. I have nothing to really base this on other than piecing quotes together from here and there. I wonder how unified our locker room is going to be behind Greg Berhalter, because I've obviously heard quotes from some players supporting him. And obviously he's got some drama issues with a couple of other players. And I just don't know how that's going to, what that chemistry, how that relationship is going to work. So we'll find out. But this is going to be a really, really good match, well played. I don't know if we're going to win. Canada is very, very, very capable of taking this, but so are we. So it's absolutely a compelling game to watch. If we don't win, it's okay. This is all about, really ultimately in international soccer, nothing matters except the World Cup. We have these other tournaments and they're big and they're trophies to play for and you want to win them. But ultimately you're still trying to figure out who's going to be on the squad for 2026. That's still what everything revolves around. And we won our game against the chief rival. We wanted to beat Mexico. We've done that, job done. And if Canada takes this, it'll disappoint us, but it also, with an interim coach still in place and with us missing a couple of starters on red cards, if we were to lose, there's absolutely no reason to panic. Now, I'm not entirely thrilled with, I feel like so far this has been a wasted year. Our cycle, right? Our World Cup cycle leading up to the next World Cup, which we will be hosting. I feel like we're off to a slow start, a bad start here in this first year of the cycle. But I'm going to say that for the next video when I'm talking about my reaction to the Greg Berhalter rehire. So for right now, we have Nations League final, US versus Canada, the two best teams in CONCACAF at the moment, and they're facing off tomorrow night, Sunday night on Paramount Plus. This is the Nations League final. This is for the trophy. This is our best squad. This is our World Cup team, okay? So I don't spend a lot of time talking about individual teams, except I'm going to do that with the national team. Because if you're a fan of American soccer at all, then this is the team that we're either all commonly interested in, or at the very least, you can say is the one that just represents the United States. So on this channel, I'll be more detailed on rosters and lineups and results and things like that with this team. I'm not going to try to bog down with MLS action or anything like that unless maybe it's the MLS Cup final. I do like focusing on these other competitions, so just to kind of be a guided tour through what can be a confusing landscape for the sport and how it's kind of looking at through an American lens and what all we're involved in. But this is our national team. These are the guys I want you to know. If you are a World Cup only type of viewer and you're trying to grow and expand your taste for soccer, it starts with just following our World Cup team, right? What I mean by that is our senior national team when we have our best players in camp. That's what I'm talking about when I say our World Cup team. It's kind of a shorthand. You know, you can nitpick, it's not entirely accurate all the time, but our senior team with our A squad, our big names, and that's what we have right now for Nations League. We're not, and just in before this month is over, in the next week or so, Gold Cup is going to start. It's going to be a different squad entirely. Okay, I'm talking about this team. These are the guys you want to know. If you will just follow this team through the next 4 years, then you're going to be fully invested in time for 2026, and you are going to have the time of your life during that World Cup. So I want you to get to know this team, and that's why I spend a little bit more time talking about these players and talking about detailed moments. Anyway, tomorrow night, Paramount Plus, Nations League final. Watch that soccer with me, and check the Facebook page for that clip of the second goal against Mexico, and I'll talk to you next time.